Hi guys, welcome to this video. More psychic insights, and we're going to dig through soul contracts, cremation, Middle Earth, Sylvia Brown, and more. So welcome to my channel. My name is Laura. I'm the founder of Pleiadian Healer and Shamanic Self. You can find all the information on pleiadianhealer.com. And this is going to be a series where you will find in the playlist Psychic Insight. Also, if you're new to this channel, definitely go to that playlist. New to this channel gives you a good start of everywhere we've already been and where I'm coming from. So these are questions by patrons on Patreon. And this is being answered by me using my own personal intuition and also tarot and oracle cards. Now, if you want to learn how to read the cards correctly, or accurately rather, without calling in entities, angels, misguides, all of that, you can in my course, Learn Tarot Like a Pro. And if you just kind of do it in that way, it can give you a pretty accurate answer, especially for yes or no questions. But of course, you don't need any cards to give you an answer. Your intuition is going to be the best tool out there. Okay, so one question was, are soul contracts real or legitimate? How did we even make that choice? Which I thought when I read that question, I had to laugh. How did we even make that choice to do this one soul contract with this idiot or that person, right? Can we create contracts once we are here? Yeah, 100%. We're going to go through these answers because I find they are very important for some people. So are soul contracts real? Yes, they are real. I destroy them a lot, especially during sessions. And a lot of them have to be destroyed right now too, especially right now. So yes, they are real. It has to do with someone who creates his own reality. So since we're kind of creating our own reality, we have the power to destroy that. And that's the most important part that we're never really taught. We're never really taught by other people, by these other psychics. Yeah, you can totally destroy your soul contract, tear them up, burn them over fire. I think the most effective way is burning them over fire. Make sure you have a fireproof area when you're doing that. Just want to emphasize that too. So how did we ever make that choice? We got a card that was indicating feeling sorry. I'm not sure if it was the Five of Cups or a different card, but basically because somehow we were guilt tripped on the other side, meaning on the other side of the veil, and we have to do this life review, right? The BS life review that these entities give us, during which they guilt trip you. So all these spirit guides or misguides, these entities, these supposed deceased loved ones, they're basically just all astral entities, they guilt trip you into, oh, you were not nice to your mom right here in this lifetime, or you were not nice to your sibling or whatever. Now you're going to make a soul contract to reincarnate with them again and make it up in this lifetime somehow. So they kind of just make you choose that so that you reincarnate with them. So let's just say you kind of killed your father in a previous lifetime, and now so that's when you were not father, son, whatever. And then that's how you reincarnate in this lifetime. And they're your father, you're the son, and the father hates the son to guts because the son killed him in a different lifetime. But energetically, that's how it plays out. Now, in this lifetime, you don't know that. You're like, oh, now I have this toxic father-son relationship and it's keeping me here. It's not really doing much. So that's kind of how they guilt trip you into all these terrible situations where you end up just being stuck from one lifetime to another. There is something to it of us reincarnating in the same bloodlines over and over again too. I might want to discuss that in a different video. But in short, I feel mostly that's kind of how it happens. A lot of feuds between different tribes, and then the tribes kind of get intermeshed. And that's how it could legit play out. You did not have a good relationship to your mother in a previous lifetime, and now you're reincarnated together. How does it play out? In a very toxic mother-child relationship, which can basically imprint you for the rest of your life. Because if you're having a difficult relationship with your main caregiver, you might have trust issues and other type of relationships, those things. So these entities are making us feel sorry for what we did in the lifetime before. And that's kind of a big part of the reincarnation trap. And we make these soul agreements, which we don't have to honor, by the way. I think that's important to point out. We don't have to honor these soul contracts, these soul agreements. We can just say, nope, I'm done. I'm not going to be in a relationship with you in this lifetime. I'm done. We're done. Okay. Are soul contracts random? No, that's a deception. They're not random at all. They may appear to be random. So there's more to it. You know, if you're, for example, you go out, you're being robbed by these random people, you kind of made supposedly the soul agreement on the other side. Oh, now I'm going to learn my lesson and either become stronger or turn into victim mentality from this incident. But all these soul agreements, they're not random. The soul contracts aren't random. There's more to it, real or legitimate, something with kings. We are the gods, or the gods decide. There was also more male energy during this read. So maybe guys have more soul contracts or make more soul contracts than women do. Yes, we can. And that's interesting to note because these men are typically held in a different mentality. You know, it's more like men are having a hard time anyhow to dig through their emotions just because of the generational stuff and, you know, the society, the way they're imprinting all the thing onto men. And, you know, right now we're having a huge gender confusion thing going on anyhow, but traditionally men in general, women talk their emotions out. Women talk a lot, as we know. I mean, I talk a lot. And with men, somehow, instead of that, they're having more soul contracts pushed onto them, which I found interesting. Yes, we can create contracts once we are here and very fast. It can actually become a burden. I got the Wheel of Fortune card. I saw that as an up and down, and also collaboration between others, working with others can already create a soul contract and it can become a real burden. So let's just say you're working a gig with someone or you're working at a job with someone for a few years. Now you've created all these soul contracts, especially with your boss and manager and everything. You got to be aware of that. And I had a job once. It was one of my last jobs I had before I left the corporate field behind. And this person, I had a boss, it was a small office, but this boss, he didn't even like me. Okay. Like he didn't like anyone, which is okay. It's fine. It's just some people don't like others, right? But he would not let me go. You know, like I was already like silent, what people right now call silent quitting, like not putting in the effort. I was just kind of just showing up and that's it. He would not let it go. He would give me a random raise, an increase in salary. The moment he was very intuitive too. The moment he noticed I was probably looking for another job somehow, and I ended up being there way longer than I wanted to be. I don't regret it, but it was a huge like burden on my soul. I could feel it on my soul. You know, a lot of office jobs I had just really felt like they were soul numbing and not good for me at all. And I could tell stories on all the jobs I had, but with this particular one, it really felt there was this karmic thing to it somehow, especially with this boss. And it's nice that he gave me that job, of course, but the way it played out is like I could have probably quit a year earlier already and moved on to something else, but it didn't happen. And I felt it had to do with the soul contract somehow that was in between us. So had I known back then that I would have been able to just destroy the soul contract we had with each other, I would have probably felt differently about that job, to be honest with you. And this might help other people who are in a similar situation right now. So when you work with others, especially your boss, especially coworkers, especially those people that make your life a living hell, we all know those type of jobs, right? That these are soul contracts. You can rewrite a lot of them, you can destroy them, burn them all up, basically. All right, I hope that helped. I found the question, how do we make that choice, the most interesting, actually. Sylvia Brown, are her teachings legit? So Sylvia Brown was the person who supposedly predicted 2020 and beyond. She already passed away way before that. But what I got in short was no, her teachings were not legit. There's something off with it. You know, it keeps you here in the matrix. And this is me not knowing anything about her. I really don't know anything about her. I've seen a few of her talk shows because they were on YouTube somehow, but I never knew her. When she was around, I didn't know her. She was still alive when I could have technically seen her. Never knew her until 2020. For me, it had a similar energy to Dolores Cannon. These people that tell you you made the choice to come to Earth, even though you were tricked to come here, you didn't come here. So Brown probably didn't know she was in communication with a few entities, which it appears that she was working with these other entities, similar to Dolores Cannon. They're like, oh, we're in touch with these ETs, these spirit guides, but these are just random astral entities really messing with you, trying to F up your life, being very deceptive. So Brown didn't know that this is what it was. She probably generally thought, oh, I'm going to channel insight on you. I'm going to channel your guides or whatever on you, but it's not that easy, right? So maybe they were making her even a lucrative offer. I know once you're in the TV world, when you have these talk shows going on, you're kind of selling your soul to the devil anyhow. But somehow it could have been that these are in the astral, they were making her a lucrative offer, keeps you trapped here and hanging here. So maybe she also felt trapped, is what I felt. One of those deceptive things where these entities gives you a few right things, but then it hooks you in for the wrongs, So she did give some people a key to, oh, this is how you can improve your life. This is how the person thinks about you. This is how this and that. But there was a price to it. And it seems that these entities were cashing in on that because we got a very strong card that indicated sacrifice and giving away to her. Somehow she was sacrificing herself. Also taming the storm. So there was a lot of rights. For example, the 2020 narrative, if that was true, that was a lot of rights. But then the hammer comes down. The hammer is, oh yeah, but you volunteered to come here, so it's your own fault. And that kind of narrative keeps you trapped here, right? So she was giving her energy away, or it was kind of leaking, and the entities were feasting off of it. Maybe there was a sacrifice she made, or she was the actual sacrifice too. So it got a bit confusing when reading on her energy. I personally don't know much about her. I know other people who are more around her age or even a bit younger than her. They might have been following her. Only saw a few of her talk shows, which I found interesting to watch. The way she was doing these showcase readings is what you call it, just choosing people, giving readings in front of others. But it felt like a Dolores Cannon energy to me. And with Dolores Cannon, once again, I have a review on her. It triggered some people, clearly. triggered people on the old channel, triggers people on this channel. In the essence of it, I don't think Dolores Cannon is a bad person. I don't think any of the Cannons are bad people in that sense. I just think they're being misled by these entities, and it's worth calling out because we are supposed to take our power back. We're not supposed to be misled over and over again. Okay, moving on to the next topic. And so that's kind of what I felt with Brown, if that makes sense. I think they were also around a similar age, if I'm not mistaken, which is also interesting how these generational psychics work, right? Does something happen to a soul if the body is cremated or burnt at a stake? So it appears the soul is traumatized by those things. The DNA is impacted. And it looks like the soul might go into shock. Something does happen. Nowadays, they want us all cremated, right? They don't want us like having our own little thing in the cemetery even. They want us all cremated and gone, basically. So it seems like through cremation the soul is in a timeout, kind of like being pulled back somehow in silence, unable to express itself. It's in a form of a timeout, maybe because they're being shocked so much somehow by the process. There's a slow movement, so the soul moves slower than usual after that. We got the moon card, deception. Could also be linked to the moon somehow. So if the moon kind of has to do with the reincarnation trap, that would make sense. There could be something happening. We're not seeing the bigger picture. Are the stars related to the souls? The soul might get very fatigued somehow because it's still connected to the body. And that actually made a lot of sense to me because the DNA we have is the same from lifetime to lifetime. The bone structure, the facial structure, the hair, even like I know for me, I had curly hair in the lifetime I had previously. I also had blonde hair, I also was of a different ethnicity, all of those things. But in the essence of it, I always had like these high cheekbones, even when I was a man in previous lifetimes. So we kind of look similar from lifetime to lifetime. And the soul is still connected to the body when it's cremated, because there's a connection through the DNA, which the DNA is in our blood, our bone, everything, right? Also, I want to point out our aura. So our charisma looks similar from lifetime to lifetime. What you see in pictures, now that we have photography, we can analyze, oh, this is what a charisma looks like in a person, really. You know how some people just have an awful something around them, awful energy, call it energy, where you can feel in a picture they're of no good intentions. That's similar to they are carrying that over from lifetime to lifetime somehow. It's not something that just appeared in this lifetime. So that energy carries over from lifetime to lifetime. Our aura looks similar, our energy looks similar. The soul gets tired from cremation because it looks for the same body and DNA. I don't know what technology they have to recycle the same DNA into the bodies over and over again. But oftentimes you also stay in the same bloodlines from lifetime to lifetime. So there are bloodlines, obviously, that went extinct. Like the Tudor regime went extinct, this regime went extinct, all of those went extinct. But right now, where a lot of us are kind of reincarnating in these average lives, we're not necessarily royal, we're not this, we're not that, because the elite took over the entire royal bloodlines. We are pretty much staying in the same bloodline. So you will have an uncle pass away and then a cousin giving birth to a child, and that's the uncle reincarnated. That's kind of how it happens. I've had it happen in my own family, so I kind of do have seen that. And oftentimes people might not even get pregnant until someone passes away for that soul to re-enter through them somehow. So until someone like a grandfather or whatever passes away, would be something to think about for some people who are like, oh, the timing just wasn't right. That's kind of what it has to do with. So, an uncle dying and being reincarnated in a relative's child, that happens. The people choose the same bloodline. The soul goes into shock through cremation. Does something happen? I think so, but maybe it's also to rise from it somehow. And being burnt at the stake, both are probably not great. It's a sacrifice. Parts of your body and soul and heart energy are coming in. Try not to do both. Try not to be burnt at the stake. That's not so common right now anymore, but in the medieval ages it was. And try not to be cremated, because cremation can erase parts of our DNA and soul, it appears. Our Akashic library is stuck in it somehow. It's stuck somehow in our soul or DNA. I also got the image of a mirror again, rising from the dead, the way, Jeshua and others maybe did. So there's a lot that goes into it, honestly. And it might deserve a separate video. On my other channel, on my old channel, I had a video on cremation, and I think it was 20 minutes long. If I can find it on my Odyssey again, or if I can just kind of re-record it again with general terms, I'll try to do that. But it basically had similar insight, and this is back in 2020 already, where cremation is it tries to get to your DNA somehow. And they try to erase our history, which is his story. They try to erase our past through cremation too, to erase our DNA somehow off of this realm or whatever. So maybe I'll try to re-record that again. Here was a question on the Great Awakening map. Is it legit or just another distraction? I personally didn't know what the Great Awakening map was. Someone asked that, and what I got on it was there's judgment involved. There's two sides to it: blindfoldedness, leaving the past behind. Maybe it's connected to the sun. Yes and no. Is it legit? Maybe for an agenda, for pursuing a certain agenda, it's legit. What is really an awakening, right? Like similar to what is spirituality really? It's a new age term. People who think they are awakening are just having their fake awakening because they're still trapped in the entire spirit guide, angel agenda. Oh, I'm so special. I'm one of the 144,000 chosen ones. So it's a form of disempowerment. There are two parties against each other. So maybe it's controlled by two different parties or factions. Someone has to make a decision. People are ready for an awakening. So people are ready for a true awakening, but they're being dragged into this fake awakening. So there are these two faces, these two sides to it. And people are leaving the past behind with it. So they're breaking relationships apart. Spirit is communicating to them somehow, but someone's also writing this map, you know? So there's like, we have the War of the Roses card, a vision quest, and they're dragging some people into it, the New Age agenda. It depends on what you do with the information. You know, people have to wake up from the false agenda to see what's really going on, like the vegan agenda, the New Age agenda, everything that we were trapped to come here, all of that, the entire agenda. Okay, are we actually in Middle Earth? It appears we're in between two worlds in two different places. We could be in this cave reality, but we're also somewhere like plugged into the spaceship, kind of like in the Matrix movies. We're kind of plugged into this spaceship thing, plugged into this video game. So we're balancing these two things out. There's a sacrifice, taming the wind. Wherever we are, we made a sacrifice to get here because real Earth was somehow destroyed. So we have these two bodies and two perspectives somehow. So we're kind of like split into two. If we are in Middle Earth, then our sky must be fake. Depends on how you view it. The sky could be water, because we did get the water card for it. I feel we are closer to what the Bible is describing us. So the Bible as a script to what the sky is. The sky could be water. And this is where all the Bible peeps come in. You know, what is the Bible saying about the sky really, right? The sky could be water. Is it fake? Yes and no. It's not what the sky is not what we think it is. And by Bible, I mean not in a religious sense, by the way. The Bible is a script, and they're giving us a lot of truths in the Bible. Now, the entire religious people who sometimes come to this channel and they're like, oh, worship God, worship Jesus, worship whatever. They don't really understand that they themselves are in the program too. So it's great that you read the Bible, but you obviously didn't understand the script. Otherwise, you wouldn't even worship any of those entities, right? Is space fake? When I tapped into space, space felt dead to me. It's not what we think it is. It doesn't even matter. Space in German means all. A-L-L is the German version of space, which is basically all. You know, all in German can also mean all in German, and it means all in English. So it means everything, nothing, or all. So it's all. There's space to create, and that's it. Are the planets real? I feel it's just not real. It's kind of, the planets are done with. It doesn't even matter. It was all destroyed by AI. The Pleiades, all of that does not exist in a sense. There's nothing happening in space. Maybe there was a lot of party going on, a celebration going on, but now there's nothing. You know, we have to leave the past behind, bring something forward, being able to see it. There was like a sacrifice going on. We got the water card again for space, could be water. Space has to do with water. Being in the firmament? Hold on, firmament, yeah. For being in the firmament above. Space has to do with water being above. Oh, here was a good question. So we are traveling through space for 67 million of years, but we always see the same constellations. Isn't it clear that we are stationary? That was a good question. So I feel that's kind of what they teach us in physics, right? Oh yeah, we're traveling at so and so many speed light years or whatever, but you always see the same constellation. That was a good question, actually. I think it came from G-Man. We are kept stationary by something, but we're not necessarily stationary. So we could be slower moving, which could also confirm the spaceship theory that on one hand, we're in this giant cave reality. On the other hand, we're on the spaceship. So we're being tied up in something, but we can get easily out of that. To be stationary could be hard work. I felt there were different narratives to all of this. So if the 67 million years is true, 6 plus 7 is 13, right? Like all of those numbers they're throwing at us, they're using magic somehow. Maybe there's a heart in the sky or a portal in the sky. I'm not sure about the number, the 67,000 miles, millions of years, whatever, traveling through space. We could have been so it felt like we could have been traveling in the past, but I feel there's just more to the narrative. So that was an interesting question. Is the sun square? I feel there are at least a few different suns. So it could be 2 to 3 different suns. Maybe it's not square, but maybe the reflection of the sun is square. And maybe the moon also makes it seem square. Maybe during summer, the sun appears to be square. Just like during the summertime, the sun appears to be more golden than in the wintertime, especially where I am, it appears to be more cold. If you're in the southern hemisphere, it would be the reverse case for you. Especially if you do picture sessions, you want to do it during the time the sun appears more golden. So that's like here where I am from May through November, and then November through April, it appears more cold, more bluish. If that's the effect you're going for. So obviously you can always Photoshop a lot, you know, but still you kind of want to stay to the original. The sun appears square. It could have to do with the Sphinx, which is in Egypt too, but we weren't getting much on it. I think there's a lot to the narrative that we still don't know. Maybe during the summer it appears more square than during the winter. Would you call this a realm where we are? So we got the Emperor card. We create our realm. It could be that we are in a realm. We also got the light of the world. We are in it, but there's more to it and more in the Akashic records. The Emperor had this disc-like thing in the card, so I kind of saw it as we create our realm. We were also backed up to a corner. It could be that we're on a plateau, maybe, wherever we are. So wherever we are, whether we're in a realm, flat earth, not flat earth, underworld, middle earth, we're up against the wall and we're constantly being distracted. Maybe we're also on the wheel because we got the wheel of fortune. So maybe we're on this wheel and then they have these reels, you know, on Instagram, on YouTube, on TikTok that rhymes with wheel. So it's something to think about how they keep, you know, rubbing it in our faces and we don't get it, right? And real is also another wordplay on real, R-E-A-L. So there's a lot that goes into it. Is it a realm? A realm is the definition of a realm is a kingdom. It's a field or a domain of interest, a community or a territory, a region, a sphere, a domain within which anything occurs, prevails, or dominates. We could be on this flat plateau or flat something. We are in a chunk of something where we are not getting the bigger picture to it. But maybe overall, we're still in this ball-like thing just inside of it. So it gets really hard to read on those things. Let me just check what exactly. Okay, so we got all of those. I think we can do at least one more. Who are the ancients? Ancients, ascentients is how I saw that too. So the ancients are the seers. They used to be psychics, connected to the sun. 45 could also be an ancient. Sun gods, middle world, wherever the ancients are, we are also still stuck in the same world. No matter how many times we incarnate, we are still stuck here. The seers are psychic. They see things such as the Native American tribes, Peruvians, Andeans, here in the US, the natives, all of that, you know, could also be the ancients shapeshift into birds. But the story spirals deeper, so it goes deeper. There's a connection to the sun somehow. We keep getting middle world, middle earth. The ancients are here. We could be part of them. The ancients could be the ancient souls. And then the New Age kind of hijacked that term, you know, with the entire ascending into 5D. The new earth. So the ancients on earth, but the ancients are ancient on earth, but not necessarily ancient elsewhere. I found that interesting too. And earth switching around spells, it equals, when you switch earth around, it equals heart. So ancients have a heart. And that is interesting too. Okay, how many more can we do? We're going to do one more. Was Catholicism hijacked from its original meaning? Katos means whole. in the original meaning. I feel it was hijacked. It used to be whole and pure, and in 4 different ways. When the apostles kind of scattered all over, because Catholicism has to do with the entire Jesuit thing, when they scattered all over the world, it happened slowly by different men because of money, material stuff. Someone who is an old wise man hermiting away. The ancient wise men of the Middle East hijacked it. We got the chariot, which is also Cancer energy, meaning Cancer, the sign. Slow movement. It was a slower process, the way it was hijacked. And then strength, Leo and Lion card. It used to be a strong concept. So we had the high priestess intuitively. It used to be an intuitive, strong concept. Catholicism and the purity of it, it used to mean whole and pure. But it seems like it could have been hijacked. The original meaning was more innocent and pure so that even children could understand it. Someone stepped into something with Catholicism. It used to be more pure, but religion was hijacked and put into this institutionalized thing. So our entire spirituality was just hijacked by all of these different religions and belief systems we have right now. In the essence of it, we still have our original spirituality somewhere. We're just not really gaining the access because now we're being misled by religion, we're being misled by New Age, we're being misled by all these things. But in the essence of it, we are highly spiritual people. And we can get a lot of these answers on our own, right? Okay, you guys, wow. I'm going to stop it right here. I hope this helped. Let me know and follow along. More videos to come. Follow the playlists, follow me, subscribe if you're new, and talk to you very soon. Bye, guys.